Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. On today's episode, we're going to talk about one of the hottest topics in the hobby, and it's been a battle cry for a lot of people. And it's what's going to happen when Pokemon does finally ramp up production and they just start to flood the market with all these new cards. We're going to discuss, do I think that's a logistical possibility? Are people right? Are people wrong? There's a lot of things to talk about, especially trying to figure out, the impact that it's going to have on the market. So that's what today's video will be about. And it's been a hot button topic for several reasons. I don't know if it's people want to see Pokemon potentially fail and for the market to crash and to see tons of cards flood in. I don't know if people are using it potentially as a scare tactic, trying to scare away new people from picking up a lot of product. Or do people honestly believe that? And they're trying to warn people and protect people from, potentially taking huge losses, especially when it comes to modern. So maybe it's a combination of all three. I'm not sure. But I think everyone probably falls somewhere within that. Please, I just want to have a conversation today. I don't want to get people too fired up. But here's my thought process. In February 10th, Pokemon did send out whatever you want to call it. You want to call it a press release or a tweet or a newsletter, whatever you want to call it. Pretty much just saying, yes, we do understand that the demand for Pokemon cards is extremely high right now. We're going to go back, we're going to reprint tons of sets, and we're going to print to max production. So a lot of people took that as exactly what it said. They're going to reprint anything, and nothing is off the table at this point. And they're going to print like crazy. And so everyone's had a little bit of a battle cry that we're going to start to see supply on the shelves. Well, that was February 10th. It's March 11th at the time of this video. So they've had a little tiny bit over a month at max capacity, quote unquote. And if anything, I think the supply has gotten worse. And that's at max capacity. So right now, even at max capacity, like I said, they've had a month at max capacity, so 1/12 of a year, we've seen zero change. Potentially, the change we did see is worse. So I do want you guys to think that. But then there are a lot of people who are saying, well, wait for 12 to 15 months. I've heard different timelines, but a lot of people really seem to have hammered down this 12 to 15 month timeline. Now, I'm not really sure where that, timeline came from, if that's what other people have heard, or that's just maybe what other people think, or if they do have information that I wasn't able to find. But we do know Pokemon is in the process of creating new factories and, bringing more printers online, and they will be able to, put cards on the market that way. So maybe that's where the 12 to 15 month timeline came from, and that's how long it will take to get the facility up and running and everything. Again, I looked really hard to find any kind of concrete information about these facilities and potential timelines, and from all the searching I did, I wasn't able to find anything over one random alpha investment video where he talked about Pokemon being ramped up, and that was the timeline he used. Now, I'm not sure where Rudy got his information for that video, or if that was just him kind of talking of what he thinks could be the timeline, because there's a lot that goes into building new factories. And something just to take note of, that is a very big difference. To talk about building new printing facilities is way different than if we are having the conversation of just expanding current facilities. Because if you guys are in, construction or business or project oversight or anything like that, you understand the logistical issues of building any kind of new either distribution center, factory type thing. Because, for Pokemon, it's a combination of both, right? It's a combination of factory and, the first stop in that distribution network. So there's, a lot of logistical that goes into it. Just from bare bones, pouring new concrete foundations for all these printers, getting the workflow right, getting your factory floor put together, potentially running new electrical, new fiber optics, just the very basic stuff that you need to run an operation of that size. Then You have all your HR issues with hiring new people, training them, training definitely being the big thing, especially with Pokemon. God, can you imagine if all the new cards come out and they have like really bad quality control to all these cards with new hires? I mean, good luck getting your PSA 10s. But yeah, I'm digressing a little bit. But just so you know, there are huge logistical issues there. And do I really see that being handled in a 12-month timeline? Potentially. I have no clue what, Pokemon's training is for all these new hires and how long it takes to get people up to date and up to speed on this type of machinery. I have no clue. And then for your management team too, like, is it going to be management team being branched off from current facilities or again, logistical stuff like that for this video we're not really going to talk about, but just understand that there's a lot that would go into that. So 12 to 15 months, maybe that's a realistic timeline, but the more realistic would be to expand your current printing facilities. But again, we're still in the middle of, the pandemic. Yes, vaccines are being released now, and, hopefully by June, July, depending on who you talk to, we could be back to normal or be out of this, quarantine issue where a lot of companies just aren't hiring new people right now, even with like tons of demand for new employees. So assuming in the meantime that Pokemon doesn't bring on these new facilities or they don't bring on these new printers, and they are currently printing to max capacity, which that press release they released did say they are doing. So we can, at least for the sake of this video, say yes, Pokemon currently, as of right now, they are printing to the max of their capabilities. It's not enough. Especially like with what we're seeing with demand, it's not enough. So if we see this type of demand continue until these phantom facilities come onto line, we could be looking at this demand be extremely high for a year to potentially over a year. And then even when those new facilities come online, how much of an impact are they really going to have right away? Because I could tell you right now, if, take all of Pokemon's printing power that they currently have right now, everything they're doing, if you had a magic light switch, that if you went to that switch and you flipped it and everything Pokemon was doing, their printing capacity now doubled. Meaning for every one card they were able to currently produce, they can now produce 2. Or for every ETB they could produce, they can now produce 2. So just in a magic world, they doubled their capabilities. That's still not enough in my opinion. I don't think there's any way that if Pokemon just doubled where they are at right now, that they would be able to, A, meet demand, but more importantly, destroy demand that a lot of people are saying, which, they're going to flood the market and cards are going to crash and sets are going to crash and all this stuff's going to happen. I don't see that happening. Like I said, even with doubling capability. Now, I guess we could keep talking like, well, what would it take? Would it take a triple capacity? Would it take a quadruple? That, I don't know. Logistical wise, I don't see that being a possibility, especially because Pokemon is still a business, and they would understand that if we went to 10x from our printing capabilities to where we are right now today, and we invested tons of money and got to a 10x from where we are right now, they would inadvertently destroy their market. Pokemon's not stupid. They understand that you want people to want your cards, but you also need to understand you don't want to print so much of it that you're going to inadvertently kill your fan base or kill, a lot of the people currently driving the demand in the hobby. And that's something to at least consider. Whether you agree with that or not, it's definitely something to consider. I think Pokemon Company definitely has an ace up their sleeve because they do have the ability to just go back and reprint stuff. And yeah, we have already heard about some of the new reprints that are going to hit the market in the very near term, which ironically, they were talking about already reprinting Battle Styles again in April. Did that really come as a surprise? Is that newsworthy? That's a set that, as of the time of this video, with the exception of, building battle boxes, it hasn't even been released yet. So I do find that funny that they're already talking about reprinting Battle Styles, but, they talk about printing Champion's Path again, and I am a little bummed out by that. I've heard some people are happy about Champion's Path getting another reprint. There were other sets that I would much rather have seen. I have heard that they're potentially canceling the reprint, or maybe not canceling, but postponing the reprint for both Cosmic Eclipse and Vintage Voltage. And those were two sets that I would have loved to have seen, especially Cosmic Eclipse. And yes, if Guinness Book of World Records, if you are listening to this video, I believe I have now officially broken the Guinness Book of World Records for somehow mentioning Cosmic Eclipse in every single video I've ever made. But anyways, they're also talking about doing another Hidden Fates reprint. This time it's going to be just the tins, which, I was not super surprised by, but I was moderately surprised by that. Obviously Hidden Fates being so popular, but it was funny that they were going after these specialty sets, which I would have thought the easier route for them to go would have just been like, your traditional sets instead of having to worry about all the extra stuff that goes through with tins and ETBs and everything. To talk more about that, hidden ace up their sleeve, like I said, they have Pokemon to go back and reprint. I know that people don't want them to go back and reprint too far, but like I said, that ace up their sleeve, think about if they just said, all we're going to do is reprint ETBs for the last 6 Sun and Moon sets. If they said that's all we're going to do, we're not going to reprint anything else, we're just going to reprint ETBs for those last 6 Sun and Moon sets. Think about what sets those were, and if ETBs just hit the shelves tomorrow for these sets. You had Cosmic Eclipse, Unified Minds, Unbroken Bonds, Team Up, Lost Thunder, and Celestial Storm. Just think about that. If that's all they did, they said, they just crossed their arms, got, dug into their chairs and said, all we're doing is we're just making ETBs for these last 6 Sun and Moon sets. The market, the demand for those, I couldn't even imagine. Like, my head just, I don't know if you could tell through the microphone, but my head just exploded trying to, think of the demand for these ETBs. Pokemon has tons of aces up their sleeves. They could right now reprint any of those sets to oblivion and have tons of demand. That's the scary thing that we're facing right now. We're not even talking about modern stuff at this. Listen, you know what I mean. We are talking about modern because we're talking the last 6 sets of Sun and Moon. But you know what I'm saying. We're not talking about any of the Sword and Shield stuff right now. We're just talking about very recent Sun and Moon stuff. They could just hit a button anytime they want and throw out any one of those sets and pick back up all the market share that a lot of people think they could potentially lose with these big reprints. And to be honest with you guys, if I went into the store tomorrow, doesn't matter if it's Target or Walmart or whatever, and I saw ETBs of Cosmic Eclipse or Unified Minds or Team Up or Celestial Storm, or any of the sets I previously mentioned, or if you, think about yourself, now I'm talking to you listening, if you walked into the store and you saw an ETB of Celestial Storm, would you pick it up? Would you care how much the printing was? No. Your answer would be, yes, of course I would print that thing up because I'm not absolutely insane. And if you're listening to this channel, you're definitely into the Pokemon hobby. So that's just the ace up the sleeve that Pokemon Company has. They can go back and reprint stuff to create any sort of demand they want. And it's scary because they know that. Not only do we know they know that, they pretty much went out and put that press release saying, we understand the demand in Pokemon is very high. And you also have to remember now from all their, distributors and all the stores that are trying to sell this product, there has to be a lot of pushback right now on the Pokemon companies, especially from like Walmart and Target. Walmart and Target, their business model is not built around having empty shelves all the time. Their business model is built around having product in their store. I mean, that's business 101. When your biggest clients are sending you emails and picking up the phone and calling you and probably getting pretty upset, you're going to do whatever you can to meet that demand. And if they could have, I really believe they would have right now. But more important than that, not only are the big box stores, sending emails and asking for product, it's trickling down all the way to the mom and pop shops and all the new people that have gotten distributor license very recently, just trying to capitalize on the hype that is Pokemon right now. So the demand is so much. And let me know down below. It's fine. It's fine if you guys want to say, okay, the demand's going to be met. The prices are going to crash, the hobby as we know it is going to crash and burn. Fine. You can believe that. But all I want to know is logistically, how do you think they could really do it? Because that's where I'm struggling, is just from the logistical issue. I'm fine with understanding that, yes, in a situation where Pokemon could print an infinity amount of cards and meet demand 100%, yes, the market will go down. At least the market will go down to where MSRP is for all modern product. 100% I could agree with that. But what I'm having trouble doing is wrapping my head around actually meeting demand. Now, if you do believe that it's going to be, one, them printing a ton more of product, and two, a lot of people dropping out of the hobby for whatever reason, yeah, I could also see that potentially being like a argument that you can have, because it's a valid argument. If you have more product and less people buying, yeah, it adds up to me. My only problem with that argument is that I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing more people leave than I am seeing people join the hobby. I'm seeing so many new people every single day join this hobby, and the excitement is just getting more and more, especially for new sets and new product, and or just anything at this point, right? Anything people could get their hands on. I mean, how many times do you go to the store and you can't even find the pre-made decks and stuff? Even that stuff's getting sold out. It's crazy right now. Something I was worried I was going to start to see a lot of collectors have is just financial fatigue, going all in on a lot of these sets, and it adds up over time, especially if you're only buying and you're not selling at all, that could have a financial toll. But then as I am listening to people, they're in the opposite, they have all this money saved up that they can't even spend that they want to spend. It's the opposite of what I was worried about. Here I was all this time worried about financial fatigue, but in reality, we ended up having to worry about people having money and not being able to spend it. And that's crazy too, just to think about that sheer fact. So now we got to the point in the video where I'm going to give you my opinion, what I really believe will happen in a year and a half. Right now, I do not see any sort of drop. And I have done videos where I've talked about Pokemon being in a bubble. I've done my best to, argue through a lot of things. But I spend a lot of my day focusing on Pokemon, focusing on researching new sets, listening to people, talking to people. My reach outside of this channel is decent. I do, definitely keep my ear to the grindstone, if you want to say that. And I do not see anyone leaving anytime soon. I do believe that there is a new sector of the hobby, like the scalpers and the people that are not, collectors, and they're not investors. They're just in it for the easy dollar amount. I have seen a lot of those people. But as of right now, as we stand today, I don't see the downturn happening all the way till past 2021 into 2022. So that, in my opinion, gives us at least 9 strong months. And looking back just very recently in the last 5 months, you think about how explosive Pokemon was in November and December, especially with like holiday season and Christmas and everything. The uptick we saw in November and in December was mind-blowing in a way. And November, while it seems like it is very far away, it's not when you think about like Pokemon not meeting demand and the hype that's already surrounding new sets. And just think about it, guys. I just don't see it ending anytime soon. If Pokemon can get printers online and they do build new facilities and they do hire new people and they are able to flood the market, at the very beginning of that flood, people will still be able to absorb anything Pokemon throws at them, because we are in such a drought that is Pokemon right now. It would be like if you were walking through the desert and you haven't drinking water and the sun's beating down on you and all you want is a cup of water, and somebody comes and they start handing you cups of water. You are going to just continue drinking cups of water until you throw up. And that's the same thing that's going to happen to Pokemon. And I don't want to be like too graphic with that image, but when product does start becoming attainable, there will be people out there buying it up until they throw up. I'm thinking about it the same way. So even with that huge increase in demand, it will be a lag time until we start to really see product sitting on the shelves. Right now, what would you think sitting on the shelves is for Pokemon product? Right now in my head, on a very, 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 very good day, sitting on the shelves, in my opinion, is 1 day. Depending on the products, whether it's, like Shining Fates ETBs or some certain collection boxes, stuff like that, the time on the shelves could potentially be between 5 minutes and 2 hours. Like, that's the high end of that timeline for like Shining Fates ETBs sitting on the shelves. So what is it going to take to get Shining Fates ETBs sitting on the shelves between 5 minutes and 2 hours to get them to now sit on the shelves for a week? Heck if I know, guys. And if anyone tells you different, they're lying. No one knows for sure exactly, what it will take to meet this demand. Is it possible? Sure. Anything is possible, especially in the long term, because the only person that's undefeated is Father Time. But in the meantime, I don't see it happening. I don't see demand being met at all. And if you are in this hobby, we're going to try to do our best to get this product at MSRP. You're going to continue to get better. You're going to continue to learn to use new channels, stores, pre-orders, all the weapons that you have at your availability. You will get better, especially if you watch this channel. I will give you updates. Think about how many of you guys, when I announced that GameStop was doing pre-orders for Battle Styles ETBs, I know a lot of you guys were lucky. You went out to your game stores that day when you listened to that video, and you were able to get 5 ETBs, under pre-order. So a lot of you guys did real well. You just have to, and you can't sit back, you can't wait. There's a lot of, resources out there for you guys, and hopefully you start to take advantage of them and start to expand into that. But anyways, listen, this is the end of the video, but it's definitely not the end of the discussion. I feel there's a lot to discuss, and there's a lot of different opinions when it comes to this matter. please continue the conversation down in the comments below. Feel free to comment on anyone's post you want. Start to have that conversation. If you agree with a person or if you don't agree with them, have the conversation, because it is very important that we hear everyone's side, especially when it comes to something like this. But with that said, if you are new to this channel, go down below, hit that subscribe button so you can be on this journey with us. For everyone else, hit that like button. But more importantly, I'll catch you guys on the next video.